and welcome to Speed Gaming. Today we're watching the Link to the Past Randomizer daily race, where we've got a special treat. We're watching some Overworld glitches. My name is Zeke Iwin, and joining me in the commentary booth is Corel Bell.
Hello, everyone, and we should have a pretty fun race for you here today. We have our four racers: Malmo, Chex Human, Orange, and Mr. Buyer. All of them very, very experienced at this mode, so we should be able to see quite a lot of fun. And looks like we should be getting started in just a couple seconds.
Yes, and you're very experienced in this mode as well, which is why you're here in the booth with me.
Yes, yeah. Our glitch racing community is I would describe it as small but enthusiastic. So in the last several speed gaming glitch dailies, Malmo has done many of the commentaries for those dailies, and I have been one of the racers. Today we decided to switch off, give Malmo a chance to race, and me a chance to do comms, which is always fun. And we are well off and already seeing quite a bit of action here. We should talk about all the stuff we're seeing really quickly. So Malmo just did a very quick method to clip into the hobo check. That's a little more difficult, a little more hard lock risk. Orange and Mr. Buyer are going for the same check, but doing it the slightly slower, slightly safer way. As you can see, taking an unfortunate snipe there. But yeah, as you can see, Hobo in this mode is a Sphere 1 check, so good to get that off your mind, and we'll probably see a checks return there soon enough.
Meanwhile, Chex is actually taking a more non-glitched opening here. We're getting the Lost Woods opener.
Yeah, there are so many different options for opening. There's kind of a two kind of schools of thought with regards to Kakariko. So obviously Kakariko has a whole bunch of stuff. Very tempting to go there early, but Kakariko is going there early without the powder or a bottle can often isolate. It can isolate those checks there. So you'll sometimes see people postpone the Kakariko check, and it looks like that's exactly what Chex is doing. Chex is just clipping up into Death Mountain,
as one does. You just clip into the old man rescue cave.
Yep. And in all at least all popular glitch racing modes, you always start with boots, because the techniques like you're seeing from Malmo here, where she's following in Chex's footsteps, wrapping around the screen and then entering the old man cave. A lot of those techniques are much easier, and a lot of them are impossible without boots. So if we were to race this format without starting boots, then it kind of just turns into whoever finds boots first wins. So in order to keep things more fun and also more interesting, the boot start is the standard for racing this mode.
And that our tracker does point out that was a very nice and clean hair clip from Chex.
Yep. That is one thing that that you get a lot of practice of in this mode. Clipping up to Hera is it is your best access to, well, obviously Hera, but also all of Light and Dark Death Mountain, it kind of always starts with a hair eclipse. So we will probably be seeing many of those from all of our racers today. Mr. Byer just did something interesting. He did a different method of getting up to Death Mountain than we saw from Malmo. He did what's called a lumberjack DMA, and that's slightly less common. It just kind of a different way to accomplish the same thing, and we'll probably see him go down to check the old man cave instead of going from bottom up.
Meanwhile, down in the bottom left with Orange, who at the moment is taking a more NMG route through our opener, we got a sword in the Kakariko well.
Yeah, it's interesting that if I didn't miss anything, it seems like Orange is the only one out of our four racers that that decided to go to Kakariko early. Like I said, it's the Overworld Glitches opener gives you a lot of options, but the early Kakariko check isn't that uncommon. So to only see one of our four racers head there early is kind of surprising. Hey, a lamp for Malmo. It's nice.
It does look like we've had Orange's stream freeze a minute, so apologies there.
Just had to take a minute and kind of internalize the fact that okay, I just found the sword. Now what? No, his stream just froze for a second. We'll hopefully get it back shortly. Meanwhile, this is interesting from checks. We have an early Sahasrahla check. That's in a non-glitch mode. It would be a little bit. You would be worried about isolating Eastern Palace, but in glitch mode, it's easy to get back there.
I think we just saw a flute from Mini Moldorm Cave. Which
that's nice.
is not. It's nice to get the flute early in this mode because the flute doesn't actually unlock anything. We have glitches to get into the mire area, so at this point, it is just convenience.
Yep. And it's interesting. With the flute at Mini Moldorm, it will definitely be... So, if you find the flute late, then you'll often see runners just never activate it. But finding it this early, especially Malmo finding it before her Kakariko check, it's kind of a no-brainer for Malmo to activate it. Just because it's right in your way, and even though it's not required for anything, it can be a pretty efficient way to move around. It kind of pays for itself over the course of the run.
Now we did see on Chex' way to do a south Kakariko path. Chex did clip up into the K45.
Yep. Another example of how in Overworld Glitches, Link has developed has taken a trick from that he learned from Breath of the Wild. He's just developed a fondness for rock climbing. So diagonal walls become more suggestions than obstacles.
From what I've noticed watching glitches, physics are kind of suggestions.
Yep. All right. So, what I'm interested in on Chex' side specifically, and Orange's as well.
Oh, I missed that lamp.
Oh, yep. Lamp and sunken treasure. Yes, the Hylian national anthem. Sure, one of those two. Sorry, no singing for you today.
We're not allowed to do that.
Yes. And we're all thankful for it. So what was I say? Oh, Chex and Orange are in an interesting position here, where they've both done their Kakariko checks before making their way to South Shore to find that flute. So, like we were saying earlier, depending depending on how the rest of the seed plays out for them, we might see one or both of them decide to never activate that flute. Kind of depends on how the routing unfolds from here. Ooh,
Depends if I have to go back.
Scary.
You might activate it for an early bottle turn-in if you have one. But
Yep. Yeah, there's
that's
a lot
terrifying
of
heart count for Buyer.
Yeah. And so Byer's situation is a little precarious for two reasons. One is that he's about to die, but two is that in Overworld glitches, the Waterfall Fairy and Zora Ledge and Zora are all Sphere 1, as we're probably about to see, as long as he doesn't die.
Hey, we're desert now.
Yep.
I'm sorry, Crumble. Everything's happening right now.
Yeah. That's the fun thing about Overworld glitches. Speaking of everything happening, welcome to the 97 people joining us from Speed Gaming 5 and 6 joining us from Speed Gaming Espanol. We are in an Overworld glitches race between 4 very experienced runners, and we're doing our best to try to to follow all the great variety in routing that we're seeing. Okay, so what just happened on Mr. Byer's screen is interesting. He found a heart piece in that second chest in Waterfall Cave. If that had been his 4th heart piece, then he would have been dunked in the water, and he wouldn't have been able to potentially clip in to get the Zora Ledge item. That didn't actually matter here because the Zora Ledge item, it looked like it wasn't anything, at least in my view.
And Chex even gives us a beautiful fighter sword Moldorm.
There's that NMG practice. Just making quick work of it.
And there's our Moon Pearl in Desert Palace Big Chest. So everyone's going to need to go grab that, but luckily that is also Sphere 1. There's a lot of Sphere 1 in this mode.
See, you say luckily, but Chex did an interesting, slightly less common way to get to Floating Island here. What I imagine you'll see from probably all 3 of our other runners is dropping down, checking Spectacle Rock, and then kind of crossing over the land bridge. I didn't actually know it was possible to do what we saw from him, which was an up teleport into the clouds, which you can walk on clouds, because of course, why not?
This is a Link to the Past. Anything is possible. Don't you always walk on the clouds?
Yep, and yeah, the things out of bounds in this game often have pretty interesting collision. So we should talk about the Moon Pearl that Malmo found at Desert. As we saw on Malmo's side, Desert is very, very easy to get to. In this mode, you can either clip there from race game, which is kind of the more common approach, or clip there from a K45. But
which we technically also saw from Malmo.
For that part of the routing, yes.
So, because it is common to end up going back there with K45, depending on what you have.
Yep, that is absolutely right. And I think we saw a glove in Paradox Cave from Chex. So, pretty much all of these, all of the locations we're seeing from all of our runners here are considered very early game checks that, while you do see obviously quite the variety in routing from everyone here, there's not often too much time to be gained or lost. It's often it's just different ways of accomplishing the same thing. So usually you have to wait a little bit to see where the where time really starts becoming gained and lost, or when people start orphaning locations that are actually difficult to get back to. Yeah.
It makes it a very fun race to watch, but it also makes it very hard for us to keep track of everything going on at once. So if you have questions about what you see here in chat, please let us know.
Yep. We'll try to call out the interesting stuff as it happens. The general clipping up onto climbing walls or teleporting up onto ledges. All of that kind of stuff is really the bread and butter of this mode. It's part of the kind of fundamental technique of this mode that you learn right away, and then everything after that becomes kind of applications. It's how do people use these techniques that they've learned. So we should talk about the moon pearl that Malmo found. It would seem like an early moon pearl would be nice because obviously moon pearl gets you a lot of access. In fact, in Overworld glitches, it gets you even more access because you don't need anything, as we've seen, to get. You don't need anything but the boots, as we've seen, to get up to Death Mountain, and then you don't need anything but the Moon Pearl or some other bunny methods to get down from Death Mountain. So the Moon Pearl by itself gives a ton of access, but the people that like Overworld glitches modes, and I know this is true for Malmo, Orange, and Chex. I'm not sure how Bayer feels about this, but you tend to want a seed to put you in creative, fun, new situations, or uncommon situations that call for interesting or unusual routing opportunities, and nothing does that quite like a late Moon Pearl, or a Moon Pearl in Ice Palace, a Moon Pearl in Village of Outcasts, a Moon Pearl in Skull Woods. A lot of fun things.
Moon Pearl in Turtle Rock for reference of how crazy this can get.
Yep.
Just let that sink in for chat at a moment. Mostly while we wait to see where we go next.
Yeah, so I think as all of our runners are kind of retracing each other's steps a little bit. Chex is about to show us something. Okay, I thought he was about to do a map wrap. Nope, he's just doing another very uncommon, but clearly an approach he's comfortable with. A way of getting directly from Kakariko to the desert without needing to walk around. Oh man, Chex loves his unusual routes. He has a lot of fun with this mode.
With his route he took, that was actually a logical clip to make because of where he already had seen the item from his southern approach to Kak, so going straight over made sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's and it really shows how the more you learn in this mode, the more routing opportunities open up. The more ideas that you can come up with.
Hey, we've got Orange back.
Oh, all right, great. Unfortunately, we're not really sure what he's done so far. Although, because of what he's doing right now, we do know that that he hasn't been to Death Mountain yet. So unfortunately, he made a brief mistake with the Death Mountain ascent. But Orange was familiar with the recovery, there, which was just clipping into the part of the wall that that you can't actually see like on your screen, but the collision is still normal. So he just did a quick recovery technique that's good to know when one of the several steps of that technique goes wrong.
And based on information we have from the other runners, we know he's at least done South Shore because he did have a light cone going through Old Man Cave.
Yeah, so I guess the fact that we saw a DMA from him probably suggests that he hasn't activated that flute. And I don't remember if we saw checks to it either. So, like we were saying earlier, we might that might become an interesting decision to keep track of, to kind of see when or whether they ever activate that flute.
Professor Pixie, one of our trackers, does confirm that checks activated flute. So the only person who might not have activated flute right now is Orange.
Okay. All right, so checks. This is interesting. Because checks put off the kind of Kakariko and Desert checks as long as he did, he was in a position to comfortably finish off this dungeon and get his first crystal.
His second.
So everyone
crystal,
else,
actually.
Oh, second, right, Hera.
Because Hera was crystal. We have 2 crystals already in 21 minutes. This seems a little bit quicker than some I've seen.
Yep. All you need is, I guess literally all you need is a sword, potentially a fire source, depending on whether you have the hook shot or not, and boots, obviously, to clear Hera and Desert. All you need is that fire source and something that can kill Lanmo.
Exactly, and checks did a clip up to Bombo Sledge there, and Malmo was clipping up Death Mountain, similar to how she did for Light World, only now we're in Dark World.
Yep. And thinking about the routing that Malmo's doing right now, the fact that she has hookshot obviously makes clipping too, and it pays off.
There's a hammer. Boy.
That's a huge payoff. So, if I was in the situation Malmo was with the item she has, I would have been tempted to do Hype Cave and then kind of do a clockwise loop around the Dark World, just doing all your checks and hoping to find the hammer before heading up into the Village of Outcasts and Thieves Town. That wouldn't have been correct in this case because of where that hammer ended up. So we'll probably see her head straight to. She's gonna hop down the mountain, check Catfish, and then hop down again and go straight into Pod.
So we just saw one thing where we have a pretty major difference compared to the NMG. We just saw that the medallion for Turtle Rock is Bombos, but we don't really care about that, do we, Krellbell?
Yep. Overworld Glitches gives us three different ways of getting into Turtle Rock. Only one of them is in logic to kind of jump down onto the land bridge. Very, very easy Overworld glitch to learn. For a lot of people, that's their first the first Overworld glitch they ever learn is that it's just super speed and then walk into the diagonal and ta-da! No tier medallion requirement. It can sometimes be important for logic. But very, very rarely.
Apologies for interrupting again, but We just jumped down a mountain.
Wait, did Malmo not go to... Oh, Malmo didn't go to Pod. Interesting.
I agree with not going pod here for one reason.
Oh yeah, she has
We don't have a
flute and
bow.
hammer. Yeah, she has flute and hammer, so it's really, really easy to get back there and no bow. So yeah, that's definitely the right play.
Orange's route gave him one benefit. He didn't have to do a fighter sword bolt worm. And anybody who's had to do fighter sword bolt worm in the past can agree that's a benefit.
Yep. I didn't see if any of them left an item in Hera basement or Hera big chest.
I don't remember what was in the last check. I know we had the compass. Okay, yeah, we got an item in here.
Oh, there is something
Orange
there.
Is going back
Okay.
in.
I'm pretty sure we didn't see that from
Anyone else.
Yeah, from some of our other runners. So this could be this could be huge. There's huge potential for this to. And now I see why we didn't see it from anyone else. Because without the mirror, this is pretty awkward to get to, or to get back from rather.
But Orange is doing at the end of his Light World route. So I think Orange plans on doing a save and quit here to begin with, so this check doesn't cost you more time than just doing it.
I think if that was the case, he probably wouldn't have set up the death warp.
Oh no!
Oh no!
Don't you hate it when you set up a death warp and you get a refill?
You're just whenever you set up a death warp, you're just beckoning the health refill, and Orange says, you know what? No, I can get back here very, very quickly. I can just clip up again. I'm not walking out of here.
It's just that easy.
Oh, okay. So the interesting play we saw from Malmo of kind of rushing to Hookshot Cave before any of the other Dark World checks. It looks like Mr. Byer's doing the same, so he's going to be very, very happy to have found that hammer. I'll be curious to see if he decides to try Bowless Pod or just make the decision, Malmo, to what? Nope, it's easy to get back to Pod, and I don't have the bow. I'm gonna do Thieves Town.
Well, remember how you said Chex is the only one who didn't at this point.
Oh my gosh! All of my predictions on the plays that I expected to see from the majority of our runners have been completely wrong.
That just shows you that just shows how volatile this mode is.
Yeah, absolutely. It becomes. It's often extremely, extremely difficult to metagame off your opponents in this mode, which is one of the things that I actually really like about it, because there are so many different options. You have no idea what your opponents may have decided to orphan that you didn't. And Chex is doing it too. Everyone did the early early hookshot play.
To be fair, Krubba, we got the hookshot in Tower of Hera, which does, especially if you happen to do it and then do it last, that does entice you to go over and check those checks, because that's a very item-dense play.
Yeah. So I think I suspect from here we'll probably see fairly similar routing, and of course, the moment I say it, it's proven instantly wrong. Mr. Byer is heading straight into Bowless Pod, and Orange decided to not do that, and to, I assume, probably head to Village of Outcasts. And welcome to the 38 people joining us from Speed Gaming 3. We are in an Overworld Glitches daily that is just really kind of digging its teeth into the high density Dark World checks.
Meanwhile, on the action side here, we have a fight with Blind up in the top left with Malmo.
Yeah.
And Mr. Bayer proving you wrong again, Krellbell, as he actually just hookshot over from Catfish to check North Dark World.
Oh my gosh, would not have occurred to me. That's interesting. Doing that instead of saving quit and warp and I could see that. Ed checks his. Well, I thought he was doing the same, but no. Looks like we're getting a pyramid check. Pyramid and then Hammerpeg Cave. So we'll probably see him swim across the water below here, which, in Overworld glitches, you totally can swim across. And then
because of course we can.
Just clip up into Hammerpeg Cave.
And check. I think that's our first bottle on Check's human screen.
Oh, okay. That is a fairly late bottle in this mode. And Check's proving me a liar again. Not. But I think
this race is just how many times can our runners prove us wrong?
Just nonstop. But I actually like this play a lot. From Chex, the Hammerpeg Cave. It's a long swim, and it's easy to get back to after the Pyramid Fairy check or Ganon's Tower clear.
We also have a bow located from Hype Cave that both Orange and Chex have picked up. So, have we had a Dark World map check?
We have.
It looks like we may have got one from Mr. Bayer.
PR Green, Pod, and Swamp as our other. Okay. So we will need a fire rod for Skullwoods, and we'll need the cane. Okay, so we'll need pretty much a full inventory to finish this as usual. But photosensitivity warning a little bit late.
I didn't see Malmo or Orange setting up that, or else I would have said it sooner.
I should have kept a closer eye on that. Yes, if you load, as we saw from Orange, if you load Mire. If you clip into Mire, and we're seeing it again on Check's human side, if you clip into Mire instead of fluting and taking the portal there, the rain doesn't load correctly until you either open and close your map or go into and out of a room, or activate the Mire medallion. So I'm not sure if we saw the Mire medallion check. There we go. It's Quake. Okay.
Right, so we need to.
That's good.
That is important, and we have that medallion.
Yes. Yeah,
so
always...
our runners breathe a sigh of relief at not having to hunt for medallion.
Yep. While we don't care about the Turtle Rock medallion, we definitely care about the Mire medallion. In this mode, you do still need the Mire medallion to get into. Mire, so that is required. We're seeing a rare technique from Malmo here, what we call a funny auto walk thing, where you go into a screen transition in just so, and it kind of just glides you along and through all the collision, and bypasses the hammer requirement for getting through there. She does have the hammer, but it's a little bit faster to do it that way, if I remember correctly.
Compared to the 3 in the Overworld, this action in Thieves Town on Mr. Bayer's screen is very calming to watch sometimes.
Yep.
I think Thieves Town could be calming.
The thing about Overworld glitches is the Overworld gets very, very convoluted and interesting, and lots of interesting routing opportunities, and sometimes difficult to follow. And then you get to breathe a sigh of relief when you're in dungeons, which are, for the most part, aside from maybe needing a fairy revival with a late moon pearl, that
and Turtle Rock.
Logic. Yeah. Yep.
But speaking of dungeons, we're 34 minutes in. We're in Ganon's Tower. What happened, Krellbell?
So, in Overworld glitches, you do not need any crystals to get into Ganon's Tower. You can just clip and skip up to the top of the screen and just walk right through the barrier. And because of that, there is no junk fill waiting for the items placed in Ganon's Tower. In a normal 7/7, Ganon's Tower is heavily weighted to not contain progression. And then that weighting goes down the lower you make the crystal requirement, all the way until a 0 crystal GT, which doesn't have any weighting at all. In Overworld glitches, that weighting is set as if it was a 0 crystal GT. However, if you were, for some reason, if you wanted to open up the front of GT normally, which you should never see in this mode, you would still need 7 crystals to do that. And the reason for that is, if GT actually had a 0 crystal required entry, then the Moon Pearl could end up in GT, and nobody ever wants that.
I don't want that.
Yeah, it's not.
I don't
fun.
want that in non-entrance rando.
Yeah. So that's why it works the way it does. But because of that weighting, and because of how easy it is to get into GT, all you need to put in logic is the Moon Pearl. Because of that, you'll usually see runners head into GT. Kind of the most common approach is to head into GT as soon as you're done with your normal Overworld loop checks.
And as soon as you have access to either side of GT.
Yes, yeah. As soon as
you don't want to go to GT without either hammer and hook shot or cane and fire.
Yep. There's there are sequence breaks for either side. You can bomb jump across the gaps on the left, or you could use lamp and a quite difficult bomb jump to skip the fire road requirement on the right. But those, while they're still good techniques to learn, they're not quite as common as you might think in Overworld glitches, and that's simply because there are still sequence breaks. So if you're gonna eventually need your fire rod, or if you're gonna eventually need your hook shot, although oh man, this could be a hover seat. Oh boy.
I mean, this one isn't. We have a hook shot.
Oh, right.
Oh, there's an item that we don't usually see. There's our mirror.
Don't usually see and don't like to see.
Also,
the mirror we like to see. Well, except
also, we never said anything, but if you happen to like your big key in check number 15, was that 15? I think so. But 16. But more importantly, we found it. So that's a good thing to find. And with the bow, Malmo is going to go up the tower.
Yep. So like any 0 crystal entry required for Ganon mode, the big key guessing game doesn't usually make much sense, because quite often you'll need to make multiple trips into GT before being able to find your big key.
We didn't play it. Ooh, I think Orange just has soft lock.
Yeah, I didn't see exactly what he was trying. I think. Wow, I don't actually know what he was trying to do. But yep, that's one of the risks of Overworld glitches is you can, if you mess anything up, you can, usually the only penalty is a soft lock that you can save and quit out of, and it's always important to recognize when something's gone wrong, and to save and quit before moving, because moving can often turn a soft lock into a hard lock. So yeah, that's something that you get pretty familiar with in overall glitches. Is sometimes things go wrong and you learn the recovery for them, and it's a minor time loss.
We've got our checks in the front of Skullwoods, Orange in the front of Gannon's Tower, and Malmo on the climb. And what is Mr. Buyer doing? Where is Mr. Buyer going?
Oh boy, okay. Mr. Buyer is doing something that I'd be fairly confident in saying we're certainly not going to see it from Orange or Malmo because they both have mitts. And I'd be surprised if we saw it from checks, but hey, I've been surprised a dozen times this race so far. But Buyer's demonstrating that the flippers are all you actually need to get into Ice Palace. And he pulled it off successfully. That was nicely done, and he will be able to full clear. So that's pretty nice.
That was a very neat clip, and Chex just walked back up the mountain again.
What is... I have no idea what Chex is doing right now. I've been playing this mode since...
that was a different variant on GT clip.
Sure.
Because that's where he ended up. Very nice, Chex. We'll have to ask you questions on that later.
Oh,
I don't think I've seen that before.
Yep, I got nothing. I have absolutely no idea what Chex just did.
You know, it's a good day when the glitched runners are confusing the experienced commentator here.
But whatever he did, it accomplished what we saw from Orange and Malmo. It skipped the normal entry requirement and allowed him to just sneak his way into GT.
Now, I do, from a routing perspective, whatever he just did, I like, because it meant he didn't have to do a save and quit from Skullwoods to get up to GT.
Yes, yeah.
I just wish we could explain what happened. Hey,
yeah,
we can relax a minute. We have dungeons, so we can examine kind of how the runners are doing now.
Yep. It allows us to think about what could potentially come next. So it looks like Malmo, Orange, and Chex have done similar checks. Chex is ahead by a desert clear, but because Malmo and Orange, Orange is about to find, Malmo's already found her mitts and mirror. Getting to desert is trivial for her. She'll just clean that up right before Meyer, most likely.
Oh, and we do have an Ice Palace bomb jump. That was very close to falling into a pit.
A little spooky.
But with no cane, we actually have to do bomb jump today.
Yep. But that was nicely executed, and there's potential for Mr. Buyer to gain a bit of an advantage here. I think if Kane is here, then Buyer will likely... There's so much density in GT that Buyer will probably head to GT fairly soon after this. And if he finds the Kane here, then he'll be able to clear the right side, which Chex, Malmo, and Orange, by their routing choices, have all isolated. So actually, what else do they need for go mode? Fire Rod.
Red Cane and Fire Rod.
Yeah, Fire Rod.
Not a pretty... Well, if all we need is Red Cane and Fire Rod, if Mr. Buyer goes left first, he'll probably skip the right side anyways because it can't be there.
It can be in Tile Room.
It can be in Tile Room, but
then that's kind of the nightmare scenario for everyone except Mr. Buyer in this situation.
In this hypothetical situation, we don't actually know where Kane is yet.
Yeah. But I guess regardless of where Kane is, if Fire Rod is in Tile Room, then all three of Chex, Malmo, and Orange will most likely hard last location it.
And based on comment in chat, Agatu is required because we can't legally glitch to the Ganon fight. There's ways. There are ways. We just can't do them. That's not legal here.
Yeah, not in this category. But the goal is set to 7/7 defeat Ganon, and the goal is set to defeat Ganon very deliberately, and that's because if you set it to fast Ganon instead of defeat Ganon, then Ganon's Tower kind of becomes the world's worst pendant dungeon.
I don't like that idea.
Yeah, especially, well, because Ganon's Tower is so easy to get to in this mode, you can almost think of it as two separate dungeons, the basement and then the gauntlet. And you can kind of think of the gauntlet as its own dungeon, and the basement kind of has overworld checks. If the gauntlet is, well, if it's defeat Ganon, then that's great. You're doing the gauntlet no matter what. So there's no risk there. There's no gamble to take. But if it's fast Ganon, then those 4 chests at the top of gauntlet, it's a terrible decision to pretty much no matter what, any required item being in those 4 chests, if it was fast Ganon, would just make for a terrible seed. So that's why we set the goal to defeat Ganon as the racing standard for this mode.
Oh, another brief disconnect for Orange, but he will be back on as soon as possible.
Yep, and Chex is gotta play it a little careful here. I don't remember what the contents of his bottle is, so
I think the one he picked up. He has 2 of them. I know. I don't. One of them I know is green.
Okay. Well, considering he didn't use a health refill, that was either confidence in his ability to avoid getting hit, or I don't know, maybe he had a fairy in a bottle. Because that was scary.
It could easily be confidence. Chex is a very good runner in his own right.
Yeah, absolutely. Chex is the most experienced runner out of the 4 we have on the restream for you today.
And we did get a trip through Escape, I believe, that we were busy focusing on the logical aspect of the seed.
Yes, yeah, we actually saw an interesting play from Malmo demonstrating that once you find the mirror in this mode, which dungeons are red crystals does not matter at all anymore, because all you need to sneak your way into Pyramid Fairy is just that mirror.
I'm assuming while we were looking at dungeons and discussing the question in chat, Malmo did a mirror offset.
Yes, yeah, you do kind of wrap around the screen in the Dark World. As you continue falling down the mountain, your collision is still keeping you on the Dark World, but your position as far as the game deciding where to place you once you mirror, it just continues dropping further and further down the map. So you just do that until mirroring would drop your portal right on the entrance to Pyramid Fairy, and then usually Death Warp or Flute. They have Flute here, so you just flute to Link's house and walk straight into that mirror portal that you. A brief
interruption, but Mr. Beyer does have a different advantage over the others, despite having not found much in Ice Palace. But one of those items in Ice is our silvers.
That's very nice to have always. Is Ice a... Okay, Ice is a crystal, so... I I guess depending on where it was in ice, if other runners are able to go mode ice, then maybe that could be a small advantage for Mr. Byer.
Would one of our trackers be able to confirm where those were, please? Also, shout outs to 2D Tones and Professor Pixie, our trackers today.
Yep. Huge thanks to everyone involved in bringing us the show today. We are. What else is remaining now? I think it's just Kane and Fire Rod, right?
Hey, now Chex is doing that swim across the bottom you were talking about earlier.
Yes. Yeah. In fact, I think I mentioned that it would be very convenient for him to just link that up with after finishing Ganon's Tower. It's very convenient to just get across there. But with the items that Malmo and Orange have, it's also very... Oh my goodness! Forget everything I was just saying. Kane is in Spike
That
Cave.
is awful. There is nothing else on the mountain except for Caneless Turtle Rock, for Caneless Pendant Turtle Rock for these runners. Oh no, that is a bad spot for the others.
And even worse, so you can... with this route we're seeing them take getting into Ganon's Tower, it's possible to check Spike Cave on your way to Ganon's Tower, but because all three of Orange, Malmo, and Chex already did Ganon's Tower, the only item that would really send them back up there in that direction
is the cane.
Would be the cane.
To answer the question in chat, the cane of Samaria was in Spike Cave.
Yeah, that's pretty terrifying. So now it actually becomes very, very important. Did we see full Hera clears from all three of Orange, Malmo, and Chex? And did we see an Ether Tablet check?
We saw the Ether Tablet check from all three. I cannot confirm Tower of Hera on Chex, Human, or Malmo, but Orange did go back for the coffee break.
Oh no. Yeah, I think you're right. I think Chex and Malmo left an item in coffee break, and Orange didn't, and I think it was just a piece of heart or rupees. It wasn't, well, it obviously wasn't the fire rod, which is the only item we need for no mode.
I don't like that cane spot this seed.
Yeah, the unfortunate thing for Orange here is because there's literally nothing left for him in Hera or Ether Tablet, that Spike Cave is completely isolated, whereas at least it's still very, very isolated for Chex and Malmo, but it's on the way to Hera Basement, so it might not be a hard last location for one or both of them, but they're probably not making their way to it for a while. For Orange, it's a lot. It's even more isolated.
It's going to be on his mind because according to chat, he had one heart too few for Spike Cave.
Oh, he tried to sequence break it,
and he died on the way.
Oh, huh. Okay.
So that's even worse feeling for Orange right now.
Yeah. So Mr. Byer has to be feeling. Well, I'd actually be interested in what I'll have to ask him if we get him in for an interview after this, because on one hand, that you find the cane in Spike Cave before you find the cane in Spike Cave before GT or before some other high density checks, pretty early. You feel like that's a pretty big win. That's pretty likely that several other racers will have put that off. But he's also potentially feeling a little behind from the early from the early Ice Palace clear that didn't really give much. So yeah, I'd be curious to know if he feels ahead right now or not.
How? You know what's a good feeling on the commentary for these races? When you have 4 runners in 4 different dungeons. Because we've seen what's in GT for, unless Mr. Buyer goes to the right here, and we've seen what's in Ice Palace, and I think we've seen what's in Eastern. This one. Our question is, what is here in Palace of Darkness with Chex Human?
Yeah, Chex. I think Malmo decided to so Malmo decided to clear Eastern, and then skip Pendant Pod. It's pretty easy to get back to, and you have fully clearable ice ahead of you. Looks like Malmo decided to bail on Pod and go to ice, whereas Chex is I imagine probably going to full clear Pendant Pod.
And we have the GT tile room.
Yep. This
Do
is
a
very
dance.
a very safe play. Now, if Mr. Byer is reading the GT logic correctly, then he'll be able to recognize that
he does not need to go to the right.
Correct. Yeah, the compass room chests are logically fire rod locked, and he's in fire rod go mode. So trying to do the bomb jump to sequence break them couldn't have possibly led to the fire rod. So it's a good thing that he recognized that and didn't do it. So it's a fire rod hunt for no mode.
It's fire rod hunt for no mode, and for Mr. Byers, a fire rod hunt for go mode.
Yep. And
a question of when will the others go back to Spike Cave?
Yeah. So, we're seeing a little bit of divergence here of choosing whether to clear Pendant Pod now or postpone it. But it's almost certain that we're going to see Malmo return to Pendant Pod before heading up to Spike Cave. And we don't know yet if Orange is going to skip Pendant Pod for now, but if he does, he'll also probably head right back up there. Cane and Fire Rod. Yep, we will also probably see full Swamp Palace Pendant. Swamp Palace clears, and I wonder if we'll see a check of the couple chests at the middle of TR that you can that are in logic without the cane.
So here's a question for you, Crubble. We have Cane and Spike Cave, we know, and the runners have missed it. Do they check? Do you think anyone checks the Caneless Mire crystal before checking Pendant Turtle Rock without a cane? And Spike Cave.
I think. It's an interesting decision. It's hard to predict. My hunch is that we'll see Caneless Mire. Well, first we'll see Pod and Pendant Pod and Pendant Swamp.
You play because those are
everyone.
Those are the density plays here.
Yeah. Those are density. After that, I think it's kind of a tough decision. It's like which decision is least bad available to me between Caneless Mire, Caneless TR, or Spike Cave.
I could see both Malmo and Orange going for the Caneless Mire because they can combo it in with their desert clear they need to do.
Yeah. Really, the at this point, the outcome of this race really hinges on that fire rod location. I think.
This one's puzzle.
Yeah, I think the odds are pretty heavily in Mr. Byers' favor here, because I think we'll likely see Mr. Byer do Desert and Mire. We know it's not in Desert. It could be in Mire, but there's 2 items there. Probably also see Eastern and maybe Pod from him. Yeah, Pendant Pod before Fire Rodless TR is would be the more, I guess, the more usual play. I'm guessing, yeah, my money's on Fire Rod and TR. That's my guess at this point.
That would be gross too.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Oh,
And
it's
Pendant Pod did not pay out.
Yep. So. So it is going to be a rough ride for all 3 of Malmo, Orange, and Chex, unless one of them kind of God visions, skipping Swamp Palace and heading right back up to Spike Cave, which would be surprising. So they're gonna have a rough time getting to that getting to Spike Cave for the cane.
And like you said, we've got a Swamp Palace. I think Malmo's actually doing Swamp Palace before Pendant Pod, which is still a density play because there are 6 items there.
Yeah.
And honestly, which Pendant Dungeon you do first of those 2, I think comes down to personal preference at this point.
Yeah, and it could be personal preference. It could be just a little bit of metagaming, of thinking you already made the decision to skip Pendant Pod, so kind of double down on that decision and see if your Cane and Fire Rod are both in Swamp, then maybe you get to not need to go back there. Obviously not the only factor in the decision, but it could be a play.
You could also argue that you're following the most recent progression you got, which in this case for these runners is the Magic Mirror.
Yeah. You gotta... Yep, we're going to see a bunch of... a list of locations open to them that are going to get progressively more painful to check until they get all the way down the list to Spike Cave. So there's definitely potential for Mr. Byer to run away with this one. It really all comes down to where that Fire Rod is.
Do you know what would be the worst feeling for these runners? If the Fire Rod were in Misery Mire.
Yeah, Fire Rod on Vidi would be a catastrophe. A catastrophe on the same order as if Fire Rod had ended up in Tile Room, which we know it didn't.
Or does it fall on the same level of catastrophe as Cane of Samaria and Spike Cave?
Yeah. No. It's hard to think of a location for the Fire Rod that would be as unfortunate as Cane and Spike Cave in this situation.
So I missed something along the way. Where did Orange get half magic? Where did Chex get half magic?
Maybe Pod? Oh, Pyramid Fairy. Wait, Pyramid Fairy? I could have sworn.
So Malmo didn't do Pyramid Fairy. Okay.
Huh. That's a little surprising. Yeah, I thought I saw her do it, but apparently I was mistaken. Yep, and here's Orange going for a full clearable Ice Palace before Pendant Dungeons or partially clearable Crystal Dungeons. Totally makes sense.
It's completely understandable.
And Chex, I think he's
Chex is
giving
doing.
us a new check.
Chex has magic powder.
Yeah,
I don't know where magic powder was.
I also don't know. Oh, okay. Thanks to our tracker, Professor Pixie, in chat for confirming that magic powder was in Pendant Pod.
Okay, so that's following progression we just picked up in Pendant Pod.
Yep.
So that makes sense for that play.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it was nothing.
Meanwhile, we had a very nice Argus fight from Malmo, who picks up Buttersword for her trouble.
That's pretty nice.
It's nice, but it's not a fire rod.
Yeah, we will probably see that from. We'll probably see both Chex and Orange pick that up. Depending on where the fire rod ends up, we might see Mr. Byer get to skip that. Because Mr. Byer almost certainly does full clearable Mire before any Pendant Dungeon. I'd be a little surprised to see Pod from Mr. Byer here.
And not having that. If the only way I think we see Mr. Byer go to the Pendant Dungeons here is if it's Pendant TR for Fire Rod.
Yep. Yeah, if that was the case, then
there's nothing else taking him up the mountain.
Yeah, if that was the case, then we would probably see both Pod and Swamp clears from Mr. Byer before making his way there, which would give our other three runners a chance to catch up. Yeah, the more of their steps that Mr. Byer retraces, the narrower that advantage from the Spike Cave Cane.
On a question from chat, in the randomizer, Mothula's been programmed to take tempered sword damage from the golden sword, just in case you do get the golden sword before you do Mothula.
Yep.
Just because. Yep. Now, Sky Shadow would be correct in a vanilla playthrough, because Mothula is code to take gold sword damage from spikes, which translates out to nothing.
Yep. So it's a nice little quality of life change to. If that change wasn't there, then if your only option for damaging Moth was your sword, then you would be forced to use pokes to damage Moth with the butter sword, which I don't know. I think it's kind of fun, but
but it's a nice quality of life change especially for newer runners.
Yes, yeah, especially because the Mothula fight with damage from knockback into spikes being canceled, making that fight feel quite random to begin with. I could imagine it being even more frustrating for newer runners.
I think all newer runners have a horror story about their moth fights.
Yep.
Now, here's the real question. What is here in Misery Mire?
Yep.
Mr. Byer, into the mire. I'm already out of rhymes.
I mean, looking for fire.
Mr. Byer, into mire, looking for fire. I like it. We're on the mountain. Could this be a spike cave from Malmo?
Oh.
This is a spike cave for Malmo.
Spike cave before Pendant Pod.
Once again, Malmo proving us wrong.
Yeah, that's huge. That will allow her. The question is, um, does that allow her to skip Pendant Pod? I guess if the Fire
Oh,
Rod is in Mire, it does.
the progression it led us here was a cape in Swamp Palace.
Hmm. Ooh, she almost ran out of resources to be able to get out of there.
And she's combining it with Pyramid Fairy.
Oh, okay. Oh, Malmo must have done escape without the mirror. Interesting, because I think she got that like right after mirror. Huh. So that's definitely huge for Malmo. She'll get her half magic here. She'll be in a pretty nice position.
Oh, Chex didn't go back for Big Key first, so we'll have to go around.
Yeah, caneless Ice Palace routing is often a headache. Nice convenient health refill there for Malmo. So
Is that our
where
first
is-
or second item in Misery Mire?
Oh, I didn't see what the chest was.
We got a 50 rupee out of the lobby chest. And based on the routing, we had a big key in the... Did we have a big key in Compass Chest? Because if we had a big key there, we have a good chance of a small key in Cutscene.
Yeah, that's a good point, and I did not notice. Keeping track of dungeon items as a viewer is often difficult. Maybe our tracker saw, but
Especially when you're trying to watch 4 runners.
yeah, but there's probably not a huge advantage or disadvantage to be gained here.
And Orange is heading to Pendant Palace of Darkness.
Yep. This is the I think the correct density play.
Now, based on our routing here, I think there's a 50-50 chance of the item here in Cutscene Chest.
You think
All right.
Oh, and it's no fire rod, so they have to use the lamp. Yeah, that always feels bad.
It always feels even worse when the Fire Rod's in this check. It never feels good to find Fire Rod in Cutscene.
It wouldn't feel particularly bad for Mr. Byer, because that would put him in go mode.
Oh, it was a Godmire.
Oh, that hurts.
Why is it always a Godmire when you're looking for an item, right?
Uh-oh. What happened to, Oh, no. I hope Mr. Byer isn't having controller issues. Ah, there we go. He's back.
Might have stood up a minute during the cutscene. Wouldn't blame him. 20 seconds of cutscene, you can stand up, stretch out a leg or something.
Alright, there's the second item, so Fire Rod is not in Mire, and that actually... I think that gives the lead to Malmo, because we'll probably see Mr. Byer go to Swamp and or Pod.
Where Mr. Byer goes, but I would be inclined to agree.
Yeah.
Because I don't see you going to Pendant Turtle Rock.
Yeah, Fire Rodless TR before full clearable Swamp and full clearable Pod would definitely be unusual. Chaz asking, was Front of Skullwoods checked yet? And I'm almost certain it was by at least 2 runners, and neither found the Fire Rod. Well, my guess on Pendant TR is becoming more and more likely, and if it is, then Malmo is in a very fortunate situation here.
If it is, we're sorry. Commentators curse the run all the time.
Yep, that's a pretty unfortunate. So I'm trying to think of where could it be that would give Mr. Byer that would allow Mr. Byer to regain the advantage? Because after this, where does Malmo go after this?
At this point, we can't really judge who's in the lead until we see where Mr. Byer goes next.
That's asking, does overworld glitches make Fire Rodless TR any more appealing? And the answer is very, very much so. In fact, Fire Rodless TR is honestly not that bad because you're usually clearing TR from the front to back. From the back to front. You're entering in Laser Bridge and walking all the way back to the front, you still need the big key in order to clear TR. Well, I guess since it's a pendant, it doesn't matter that much.
It also comes down to explain why we're able to do things that make it more appealing. Let's just say a caneless TR is appealing in some cases.
It's bad. It's bad, but both Orange and Checks are running out of locations that it's less bad than. I think a little early on the bomb diver down there from Checks.
We didn't see left side from Malmo.
Really?
So this could be huge.
Yeah. If Malmo did skip left side and fire rods there, then that would definitely open up an opportunity for Byer to retake the lead. I missed that.
Yeah, I assumed when we weren't checking it, it was both dungeon items. But we're about to find out for certain.
Yeah, and Checks being 2 items. Well, I guess when Malmo was in here, she was also 2 items from go. Nope,
well,
there's an item.
It's red.
Yep. Oh boy, is it 2 items? No, okay. So Malmo just made the gamble on leaving 1 item on left side swamp, and
it paid off here.
Okay. Yeah, that puts her in a really good position.
All right, Mr. Byer, where are you taking us?
To the mountain?
Okay, color me interested.
What?
Color me interested here, Mr. Byer. Continue.
Oh, no, it's not Terra Basement. Is this really TR before Swamp and Pod? Nope, I was wrong again. He was just going on a quick getting some quick exercise. Oh, this is probably Pyramid Fairy.
Okay, that makes sense.
Oh yeah, that absolutely makes sense because and that explains the extra lap around because in order to offset your mirror portal, you need to not correct your camera by entering into TR, but that can sometimes be muscle memory. So it's probably what we saw from Mr. Byer. He didn't intend to correct his camera, so in order to get the offset kind of reset, he had to just take another loop around Death Mountain. It's kind of fun.
Okay, Mallow, where are you? I think Mallo's taking us to Turtle Rock, though.
Oh, I think Mr. Byer is trying to link up.
Mr. Byer
never
is not
Graveyard Ledge. No. Oh, it's King's Tomb. Okay.
King's Tomb. Okay.
So Mr. Byer is checking King's Tomb on his way to the useless fairy dropdown, which, because he entered this overworld screen in a way the game doesn't expect, Oh, right. No need to do Houlihan when you have the flute. That was just a quick. Oh, I
If
actually
you
like that a lot. You're here, so might as well check that on the way. Yeah, that makes sense. Oh, and I guess Mamo just did the same thing. Huh.
But in Malmo's case, she's going back up the mountain, and again, we're running out of places, so we'll have to see where she goes.
Yeah, yeah. And here's that hobo
Can we
check
talk
from.
about the simultaneous Dark World entries we're getting from Malmo and Orange here? We're getting
Wait.
simultaneous Turtle Rock.
When did Orange get the cane? He must have gotten that while we were
Wait,
distracted.
when did that happen?
Okay, he must have gotten it very, very recently. Okay, so what we just saw from both Malmo and Orange is a mirror wrap that isn't in logic, but is not banned in this mode. That allows you to sneak your way into Laser Bridge, which makes her a very, very convenient TR clear. Just clear it back to front, and then mirror Death Warp back, and go straight to Trinex. It's very, very nice. It's a little bit like like clearing TR in Entrance Shuffle.
Or inverted. For
Yep,
those of us
yep.
who play inverted.
Yep.
So I was going to say, I'm used to this clearing style. I play all the weird boats. And Chex has given us the Hera basement. So did Orange get the cane on his first trip? Or did he just barely get it? I think Chex got the cane while we weren't looking.
When would Chex have gone to Spike Cave before Eastern? That'd be surprising.
Wait, did Chex do Spike Cave? Orange did Spike Cave without us looking, I know.
Yes, yeah,
I said the wrong name. My apologies.
Oh, okay.
It occurs to me why you're questioning that. My apologies, Crowbell.
All right, on the same page. And where was the ice rod? Oh, I guess it doesn't really matter much unless... Oh, fire rod can't be on Trinex, obviously. So the fact that Orange doesn't have the ice rod, it doesn't matter at all. Oh, it's front of Skull Woods. Huh, that's pretty fortunate for Orange. Don't think that's enough to make up for the fact that he's a full Mire clear behind, but he if he does find Fire Rod in TR, he'll get to go mode Mire. That'll be pretty nice.
He'll also have the slight advantage of having skipped a swamp, but.
But yeah, I think if Fire Rod's in TR, which I mean at this point, how many other
what's left?
Yeah, like I'm pretty sure this is getting close to us having seen every location in the world. So if we didn't miss anything and the Fire Rod is here, then I think that pretty conclusively puts
Fire Rod is in either Chain Chomp or Compass Chest. Yeah. Fire Rod is in the front of Turtle Rock.
classic Overworld glitches.
Isn't that a check that you gamble on in NMG sometimes?
You hate to see it no matter what mode you're playing. Especially because
what a check for Fire Rod.
Especially because and that is at 1 hour and 23 minutes. That is go mode for Malmo. And what's interesting is that location was not cane locked. So anyone could have gotten to it any time.
Can we just talk about how that was a loaded mountain then?
Yeah. It was just...
More importantly, we're going to Mothula, and Malmo's almost finished here.
Yep. Malmo um, has gained quite a lead. She just needs to kill Moth and then Ganon, and she will be done. Mr. Byer will be close behind her most likely. He's just getting to change hop room. Hopefully he doesn't die. This is a little scary health situation. But then he should be shortly behind.
It'll take
Orange.
Chex a minute to get back up there, but he's also running out of Chex rapidly.
Yep. Yeah.
Although, I haven't seen if Chex did.
Haven't seen
Chex doesn't have the cane.
Yeah. I'm a little surprised, unless it's just missing on his tracker. But I'm a little surprised by Chex's play to dip Caneless Mire before finishing Eastern.
I thought Chex did Eastern, but
yeah, that's either a very confusing play or just a missing. Okay, chat's confirming it's just missing on his tracker. All right,
Okay.
Which means I think this is approaching close to hard last location for Kane for Chex here. I'm pretty sure the only stuff left for him where Kane could have possibly been is the middle of TR, which is where Fire Rod was.
I do think that Chex is going to be taking a visit to Turtle Rock here, because based on his routing, he did get both items of Mire and knows that the Fire Rod is not behind Vitreous. So it's in his benefit while he's on the mountain to go.
Nope, this is a tile room check, and then once you've done tile room, it's awkward to get to Pendant TR, and especially when you've got well, I guess he did get both items in Mire, so yeah, he'll probably head to
he won't
TR.
be too far behind for certain.
Yeah, he'll head to TR right after this. He'll just have to clip up there again.
And in our discussion here, Malmo has finished Mothula and will be visiting. Mr. Meyer does have a fairy. Good, because that was very close to not getting the Fire Rod there.
Yeah. He probably would have gone back in for it, but
he was just at the TR East entrance, so
yeah. So
and at 1:27:05, Malmo drops into the Ganon fight.
Yep, as Mr. Byer gets his go mode and must be feeling very happy to have been able to skip both Pendant Swamp and Pendant Pod. That is very fortunate. Okay, this is checks maybe a little bit of muscle memory and then remembering that's right, I'm in Fire Rod go mode. No sense sequence breaking the Fire Rod.
And we're going to be seeing Mr. Byer and Orange doing Mothula very shortly after each other.
Whoa, yeah. Orange with, I think maybe getting tripped up a little in. I think Mr. Byer getting tripped up a little in TR, as Orange was able to go mode Mire. I think the only one out of our 4 runners who did.
Yeah, he was the only one who did get to go mode Mire here.
Yep. So it looks like that allowed Orange to come very, very close to Mr. Byer. They are neck and neck.
And if I may,
yep.
Get your GGs ready in chat for once Malmo crosses this 1x3 bridge. All right, and GG to Malmo, finishing with an official race time of
1 hour and 28 minutes and 46 seconds.
So excellent race from Malmo.
Yeah, that is a nice time to have achieved on a seed with Kane in Spike Cave and Fire Rod in Pendant Chain Chomps.
This seed start out with a very fun opener. And we've got a moth fight in the bottom right corner with Mr. Buyer, and starting a couple of seconds later in the bottom left with Orange.
Yeah, this is gonna be like they'll probably be seconds apart heading into Ganon.
Mr. Buyer did get a little bit of a lead in the Moth fight because Moth did not play quite as nicely for Orange. But not by much.
This could come down to, even something as simple as Mr. Buyer taking the small time loss to a save and quit instead of a mirror flute, or and I'm pretty sure Orange also picks up a couple seconds from his choice of his choice to flute to 5 instead of 4.
And welcome to the comms booth, Malmo.
Welcome and GG. Very, very good good time on a seed with that Kane and Fire Rod location. GG.
Oh, thanks. This is my first group race win in like months. And I think it's because Krellball wasn't in the race.
Oh no, I would have your play to go to Spike Cave before. Did you never set foot into Pendant Pod, or did we just mistrack it?
I never did pod. I was just haunting me the whole time, and every time I found something, even if it was the cape, I'm like, I'm following that because I don't want to go to pod. I've already not gone. Also, my eyes are glued to the screen because holy cow, Orange and Buyer are close.
Yeah, I'm a little focused on that right now.
Yeah, this is absolutely.
Let's not talk about this Ganon though. Everybody gets downward Ganon on this one.
Oh, don't die! Okay.
I think the biggest advantage Orange has is just general Ganon execution.
Yeah, the 1-on-1 is definitely gonna make a big deal.
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure.
A death would swing it, of course. I don't know what the contents of Orange's bottles are, but Orange is in very familiar territory here. He's just got 4 silvers and a bridge. So he's
and at roughly 130, 145 or so, Chex Human did acquire the Fire Rod 4 Go mode.
Yep.
Does have to finish 2 crystal dungeons here.
It's definitely a feeling. So he, what did he? Did he go to Meyer without the cane? Because I see he didn't finish it.
He did.
Chex. When Chex found his cane in Spike Cave, literally the only locations left in the world to him where the cane could have been, if I was watching correctly, were the middle of TR.
And Spike Cave.
Yep. And GG to Orange and Mr. Buyer coming in. Orange taking second place with a time of 1 hour 32 seconds, 32 minutes and 34 seconds. Mr. Buyer coming in 13 seconds later with 1 hour 32:47. GG, and we're joined by Orange. Welcome. That was certainly a seed, wasn't it?
You ever get that feeling of deja vu, Krebel?
Yeah, we have. We've been down this road before, haven't we? Except without Ether Tablet drawing us to Spike Cave this time. It was, in fact, I think you isolated it more than everyone else in this race, because I think Malmo and Chex still had Hera Basement as kind of a little incentive drawing back up there potentially.
Yeah, but I didn't do it. I wasn't gonna do it.
Chex did. Chex did Hera Basement before Meyer and then went back to Meyer.
Hera Basement was gonna be with Tile Room. That was the only time I was gonna do it. Because I went to Hera and really early and I found the hook shot and I felt like I don't need to make big plays anymore. I don't think people are gonna get the hook shot this early. because you're going to wait for a hook shot to do top of Hera or a better sword. And I didn't do either of those things. And then the hook shot led to the hammer, and I just felt pretty good about everything that those items led to. And that's why I went to Swamp, found the cape. I think I'm actually questioned for Orange. How did you manage to route in Spike Cave? Because you didn't do the Swamp, did you?
I never touched Swamp, no.
Yeah, the cape was there. It saved my butt.
Yeah, so I tried to do it earlier on 12 hearts and had to save and quit because I wasn't going to make it. And that had been on my mind for like the rest of the seed once I ran out of good checks. I had full cleared pod, including Helma, save quitting out because I knew Ped was dead. And well, it was either, do I really want to go Independent Swamp, or I had 2 more hearts. Let's give Spike Cave another try.
I can tell you with
And sure
100%.
enough, well, normally with Overworld glitches, it's either an Ice Rod hunt or a Medallion hunt, and this one ended up just being a pick your pendant seed.
Yeah, I can tell you
It's
with
a shame because
100%.
Fire Rod had been in Logic for a long time.
Yeah, it wasn't cane locked.
Only a Moon Pearl.
Oh man, what a location for those. But I can tell you with 100% certainty, I would have absolutely done both Swamp and Pod before heading back to Spike Cave, similar to what we've seen from checks. So you both would have beaten me by quite a bit in this seed. That was a very good decision. So we'll see if we can get Mr. Byer in here for an interview. But
Mr. Byer was the first to your Cane of Samaria in the seed.
Mr. Byer checked Spike Cave before GT.
With no cape?
Yep.
Wow.
Oh,
Speaking
my own-
of Mr. Byer, welcome to the commentary booth.
Welcome, and GG.
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 Sorry for interrupting,
GG
Orange.
GG
It's
on a
all
good
right.
race and a very, very close finish.
Mhm.
13-second gap between you and Orange, and Mr. Byer. We should mention that you were the first person. We were just talking about how you were the first person to find that cane in Spike Cave ages before anyone else.
Oh, really?
And I think if the Fire Rod had been basically anywhere, if the Fire Rod had been in Mire, then you would have won this by a mile, probably. But the Fire Rod ending up where it was kind of, as you made your way to it. That's what allowed Malmo and Orange to close the gap. But GG, curious to hear your thoughts.
And real quick, we have Chex Human heading to the pyramid for a final showdown with the pig.
I'm just surprised Samaria was at Spike Cave again. And I'm glad it was worth it going to get a potion for that.
You know, you say deja vu. I don't even know which game you're talking about because I've had so many seeds like this where you have to like do GT before Spike Cave because the thing that makes Spike Cave good or even possible is like in GT or behind it. Because the mirror was there. So if you want the invents for GT, you had to go all the way to Ice Armors, get the mirror, and then do Pendant Swamp.
When I say deja vu, I mean, we had a seed exactly like this where GT was readily available, so you go in and do it, only to find out that you have to orphan your Cane of Samaria in Spike Cave. It was that exact item, too.
Yeah, it was except it was the glove. The glove was in GT.
Yes.
I remember this now.
That was my mitts.
You can't.
Chex is having a much better cannon than any of us. I had to cough a blue potion on cannon because I got downward and then just took all the hits.
Chex mechanically is probably the best player of any of us here.
Yeah, like Orange is pretty good too. Like this, the glitch community is just overpowered. That's just how it is. Everybody has imposter syndrome in this mode.
Oh, you didn't miss much while I was DC'd, by the way. All I did was check Bonk Rocks, pause to reset my router, thinking that would cause it. That would fix it. then go to Kakariko, activate my flute, realizing, oh no, I have to reset my modem. Pause again, go reset my modem. That was it.
Without that, you actually, without having to pause to go deal with that, you might have actually taken first.
How far were
Maybe.
we behind? 20.
Which is
I think
unfortunate.
if I had just stuck in my belief that pod didn't exist, then I probably would have won.
That's what I did. You know what I did also?
4 minutes.
I orphaned the heck out of Pyramid Fairy because after GT, I just mirrored and did the escape, and I think that also saved my butt because I wasn't going to do Spike Cave if I didn't have anything to route it into.
That was actually my first attempt at Spike Cave, trying to do Pyramid Fairy. I tried to do Spike Cave twice.
Oh,
And,
no, you
uh,
just dotted
Wait,
because you didn't have
Did you guys
invent.
find the fire rod earlier than I did?
No,
No,
Fire
I was
Rod was
making
my
one.
go-mode.
Fire Rod was go for all of you.
Yeah.
And
I
I
just
missed it in
really
discussion.
wanted to dip TR, and that sent me to Spike Cave first.
I missed in discussion, but do get your GGs in chat for Checks Human. Finishing in 4th place with an official race time of 1 hour, 39 minutes, and 19 seconds.
Yeah, a very respectable time considering what I anticipate will be a significantly higher collection rate than our 3 other runners. And we are welcomed by Checks in chat. Welcome, Checks and GG. That was an unfortunate one, but you saw it through and gave us a good performance.
Thank you.
Yes, GG Checks.
Thank you.
I'm well. I have a pretty good guess about what your thoughts are about the Fire Rod and Kane location, obviously. But still, curious to hear them. They were obviously not what you wanted to see.
Sure. So typically, Spike Cave is a good check before Ganon's Tower, but that wasn't the route that I took this time, so I didn't think about Spike Cave till much later.
Right. Crubble and I were talking about how you took a different route to GT. It actually kind of blew our minds. We'd not seen that one before.
Yeah. Checks. How did you get into GT?
Sure. So you do the classic DMA in the Dark World. Then just dash all the way to the right as if you're doing a GT clip. You can easily picture the geometry because you can just dash all the way until you bonk. Then you move to the right and you are right in your alignment for the normal GT clip.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
And that lets you get from Bumper Cave to GT. Was that the connection there?
Like a Lost Woods to GT, yeah. I took Bumper Cave to GT. It would make more sense to go from Bumper Cave to Spike Cave to GT, but I didn't either think of it or wasn't prepared.
Well, it was it's always cool. I feel like it checks every time I watch one of your Overworld Glitches races. Like you pull something out that I've never seen before. It's always fun. So that was definitely good to see. Even though that, it seems like that was punished quite heavily, given where the cane ended up.
And where was Ape in the seed?
Cape is in swamp. Like you can't really route. You can't route. You can't route
I wasn't there
them
for
into each other.
ages.
You can't route Spike Cave into GT at all because you don't have enough health to get out. Like you don't have a magic item. So no matter what route you take GT, you're always orphaning Spike Cave, and Spike Cave is always gonna have to be done at some other time.
Unless you sequence breakup.
Yeah, but you sequence breakup, you can't get out. I mean, maybe you can.
Yeah,
If you have all the fairies, but that's a one-way trip if you're sequence breaking.
Yeah, pretty
So you
much.
can't route it into anything.
Yeah.
In my case, I had to treat it as an awful isolated check, and I just really wanted to dip TR. And if I'm going to TR, it's like, well, now's my chance to do Spike Cave.
Yeah, in fact, given how, and I know routing around isolated incidents is always unwise, but honestly, I'm going to be a little bit tempted to maybe hey, if I'm heading up into GT and I have 2 or 3 bottles, maybe do the sequence break Spike Cave on the way.
Don't let confirmation bias get the best of you.
Yeah.
This was just because I wanted to dip TR over Swamp.
No better time to try and sequence break it again.
The only thing that really changed was that when I got the cane, I was just going to start at Laser Bridge instead of Big Chest.
One thing that I wanted to ask about was, I think all 4 of you, when you entered the Dark World, went straight for Hookshot Cave, which had your hammer, which was a very, very nice prize to find there. I know sometimes it's tempting to kind of put off Hookshot Cave until you can easily link it with a pod, especially a full clearable pod. But we didn't see that from any of you. Was that because pod was a pendant, or kind of what was going on? What was on your minds in that decision? And did you think that it was a decision that the other racers would have made?
Blue plus hammer equals I can go back there whenever I want.
No. I mean,
Hookshot Cave.
I mean Hookshot Cave, yeah.
Oh, Hookshot Cave?
Hookshot Cave specifically before like Hype Cave or Village of Outcasts or the normal Dark World Overworld checks, which we saw, from all 4 of you.
Yeah, I think question here is what led you guys to make the decision to do Hookshot Cave first?
A map check before doing anything in the Dark World, and I had the hookshot, and I had found it somewhere I didn't think other people were going to find it, so I wanted to lean on it.
Yeah, that's basically what I did too. Plus, I knew I could check Dark World in like the sea, like from Catfish to the left. I could do that, and then just skip the pod area entirely.
The map check too. I hadn't done my map check yet.
So did everybody get hookshot early?
I went back to Hera as soon as I got my tempered sword out of Paradox.
Makes sense.
I did about 10 minutes.
Yeah, checks we noticed did Hera very early.
Yeah, you probably did Zord DMA into Mountain, found 2 swords, right? And then
Zord. I didn't do
Yeah.
Zord DMA this time.
You did not.
I should
Okay.
have.
I actually had an interesting thing. I normally rush South Shore and go all the way to Waterfall from Ice Rod Cave, but I ran into an unusual situation of finding the flute in Mini Mulorm Cave, which means you can just go back there whenever you want. That might have been one of the latest Ice Rod Caves I've done in a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now we can see the difference in check rate that Crabble was mentioning earlier.
Checks rate.
Whoa, yeah, that is quite the difference. Yeah, and you can see reflected in that collection rate how Mr. Beyer found the cane very, very early and was able to skip a lot of checks because of it. Whereas checks with a 176 committed pretty hard. In fact, checks, am I correct in saying when you found that cane, the only places left in the world to you were the middle of TR?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be right, I believe.
Honestly, probably the route I would have chosen as well. Just the one that was definitely punished in this one. These seeds are always interesting. So
like we were saying, the opening makes it so volatile to watch.
Yep.
And you'll have if you guys rewatch this VOD, you'll hear Krobo and I trying to keep up.
Yeah,
Welcome to bombing 4 of glitch racers at a time. It's a thing for sure.
I'm guessing we all did different openers.
completely different.
Absolutely. I know
Yeah.
you guys don't open it the same at all with each other.
Yeah, an absolute whirlwind of kind of the first 20-ish minutes, and then as the whirlwind, kind of everyone checking basically the same locations, just in different orders, and then you all kind of just funneled into Hookshot Cave. Very, I would say, Zeke, like within a couple minutes of each other, probably?
We saw all 4 Hookshot Caves in about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
That's cool. It's
So,
an
like
hourglass-shaped seed.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then after Hookshot Cave, the whirlwind started back up.
Yeah. But much more predictable. Well, except for the fact that I guessed that some of you would dip into Bolus Pod, but none of you did.
We also missed the map check from every single one of you. So it didn't.
Yeah.
It took us a while to realize that was a pendant pod.
Yeah, it makes a lot more sense with that in mind. But yeah,
I definitely thought about that pendant pod. But then I was like, nah, maybe it's just Ice Palace. And then it wasn't an Ice Palace. I was like, okay, I guess I gotta start tipping pendants.
Oh no, we have a comment in chat from our the 5th member of this race who was not on Restream, Pick 6, one of the newest members of the Overworld Glitch racing community, who actually tutored in this mode personally, and Pix is confirming that they they put Hookshot Cave off until after the Overworld checks. Because they learned that from me, and it punished them. Sorry, Pix. Yeah, that one did not work out in this race.
So, do we have any other comments that the runners want to make about this seed?
I'm just glad it wasn't an Ice Rod hunt or a Misery Miner Medallion hunt like it usually is.
Kind of interesting, at least. Like, yeah, it sucked, but it didn't. It kind of sucked the same for everybody, and everybody just found their own path to the go mode.
Instead, it's just another Forced Orphan Spike Cave for progression seed.
I don't know.
Yeah, being able to route back in Spike Cave is a skill. Like, it's definitely something I think about a lot. Like, when I orphan something, how am I going to come back to this? And I'll sometimes purposely orphan other things, specifically to give myself an excuse to come back. Which is why I was comfortable orphaning Pyramid Fairy, for example. I was thinking, well, I could do it with either Swamp with my red crystals, or I could do it with Spike Cave and Hera Basement or whatever.
Oh.
I don't know. Fire Rod hunts are still really annoying because they don't lock that much stuff, but you still need them for a lot of things.
Kane too.
I don't know what would happen if I didn't go to TR first. I'm just glad I went to TR.
Yeah, I like that we have 4 different levels of pendant completion represented between the 4 of you.
Yeah, no 2 people made the same decision about clearing Pod and Swamp. We saw Swamp from Mamo, Pod from Orange, neither from Bayer, and both from Chex.
We're like a Punnett square of pendants.
A pendant square.
Pendant square.
I mean, technically, I never picked up the Helma pendant because I saved quit out of it.
We counted it.
honorary pendant.
Cat's hearts.
Yeah, I thought about safe quitting out of Swamp, and I was still thinking about doing the red bomb, so I didn't. And I realized, wait, I can do Spike Cave and Pyramid Fairy.
GG to everyone. This was
fun.
Yeah, very, very fun to watch. Very glad I was watching and not playing this one. No, that's not true. I always find my fun at this.
You always find fun in a race.
But Yeah, nicely done, and thank you so much for the show, everyone.
If you liked what you saw here, chat, please follow all of these runners. They did a fantastic job.
Yep, and huge thanks to everyone involved in bringing us the show today. Our trackers and restreamer and my co-commentator Zeke. It was great fun, and yeah, thanks to everyone in chat for watching. I will say thank you and good night from Krellbell.
Good night. Thank you, Krellbell. Follow Krellbell too. He's awesome. And I'll give the official thank you from Speed Gaming. Follow the Speed Gaming community. We do what we put on a lot of good shows here. Lots of good races. And good night from Speed Gaming.